Today's video is 7 reasons why we left the United States for Spain.
Oh, man, this is going to be interesting today. We are Greg and Lisa, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you're curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the U.S. and Europe, you came to the right place.
Okay, so this video came about because a subscriber to the channel wanted to know why we moved to Spain, what we missed about the States, stuff like that. And when we thought about it, since we're a reaction channel, we thought, let's react to something that's already out there on the interwebs.
Yeah.
And we had another channel that was mostly talking about how we were learning Spanish. Mm-hmm. And in that channel, we put a few things about Spain. And one of the things we put was why we moved to Spain in the first place. So we thought it was just a good idea to react to that video.
Yeah. And
probably add a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
In the process.
So it's going to be weird. So, and there's a couple other things that she asked about that we'll talk about here once this video is over. But this is going to be interesting. So this is Greg and Lisa Lewis. And we already subscribed and we already liked the video. So
yeah.
There you go. All right. Let's take a look. You ready?
Yeah. And just so you know, we made this about 7 months ago.
Yeah.
Haven't really watched it since, but obviously we know an idea of what it is, but it's just an opportunity to tell you guys.
So it's going to be a little bit of a combination of like reacting and also kind of reflecting. Just like, you know.
Exactly.
So I don't know. You can tell us what you think.
Okay.
We know this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but it was our reality. Hi. I'm Greg.
Hi.
I'm Lisa.
And today we're going to share some personal stories.
They look good. I ain't gonna lie. They do look good.
And talk about some things that might be pretty controversial. But these are things that led us to making the biggest decision of our lives. The decision to leave the United States for a new life in Spain.
It was a big decision.
It was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We made it quick though.
We made it quick. We did make it quick. But yeah.
A life-changing move that could impact the trajectory of our family history.
That's true.
So why would we do that? Why would we leave the comfort of what we know for the unknown here in Spain? And would you consider doing the same thing? Not only will we share our reasons, but we'll also share some challenges that come about when considering such a huge move.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time narrowing down what we thought needed to be on this list. And here are the 7 reasons why we left the United States for Spain.
Reason number 1. When we lived in the United States, it wasn't easy to get to other parts of the world. That's probably stating the obvious. And it wasn't super affordable. In fact, the first time we actually left the United States was when we traveled to Spain in January of 2023. Now, Spain is a...
If you can believe that. I mean, we were... No, I'm just kidding. We were 50 around there.
50-something.
And then never... I mean, I don't think we just barely got our passport. Like, just...
Yeah.
Maybe
I got our passports like in 2020.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
A great location. It's the perfect gateway to explore Europe. From Spain, we can take weekend trips to Paris.
That's our son.
In the front.
In the front.
Rome or Lisbon. And all we have to do is hop on a high-speed train or a short flight. And then...
Our son edited this.
Yeah.
So.
We're there. We're going to see more this year than we've seen in our entire lifetime.
Yeah. Reason number 2. So before moving to Spain, we lived in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. If you're not familiar with that area, it rains like all the time. Yeah. It's beautiful though, but obviously it needs to rain to
Those
get
are our
that
2
beautiful.
boys.
Right.
Well, the stereotype of Spain is that it has perfect year-round temperature. And that's true, depending on the region you pick. Luckily, we had a friend who knew we were looking to escape the rain. So she suggested the Andalusian area, which is in the southern part of Spain.
That's where we are. I know some of you have asked where we're at, and it's Malaga down in the south.
Yeah, down there somewhere. Yeah.
In that region, it truly does have amazing year-round temperatures. Of course, it rains.
Yeah.
It gets cold and can get over the top hot.
Yeah.
It's funny because we complain so hard when it rains. We're like total babies. when it rains.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Like,
and where we were living, it rained all the time.
yeah.
So
now it's like, it rained for half a second.
God
like, what is wrong with this place?
But the overall balance is perfect for what we were looking for.
Right. Reason number 3. Now, we know this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but it was our reality. The gun culture in the United States is a way of life, and it will never change. In fact, it's getting worse. Our reality was that we had to have an exit plan everywhere that we went. We had to be ready for the next shooting. Now, that might sound weird to some of you, but it's how we felt. Imagine going into a Starbucks and making sure that you had a view of the door so you could see who was coming in and a plan in place just in case there was a shooting.
we did there's somebody in the comments on this particular video that she said that we were exaggerating.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And so just to respond to that, we weren't exaggerating. That is truly how we felt. Our younger son, he even had this this fear, this I wouldn't call it irrational fear because it was a rational fear of a shooting, and like it consumed him more than it should have in a healthy way. But he had, I mean, it was reality that he was scared.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. There were a lot of people that think we're just being like, I don't know, just over the top, irrational. But I don't know. I couldn't help the way that I felt and what I thought, and for good reason, because there were shootings in movie theaters, in Walmart, in grocery stores, in churches, in schools. I mean, everywhere there was a shooting in all of these places that we frequent, and all of those places, like there was a first time that it happened there.
Right. So you don't know.
So you don't know where you're at. You could be, I don't know, you could be in some random place. You could be in a Starbucks, or, you could be in a gymnasium or something. And that could be the first time that it happens there. So, it was something that, now, don't get us wrong. We know that, living in other places, there's other concerns for safety and things like that. But gun violence is one thing that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, we don't worry about it here.
So,
I think the other day we heard a big shot. It sounded really loud. I don't know what it was.
It's like a firework.
Yeah, but we didn't instinctively jump or have that fear because we knew we didn't have to here.
Right.
And I think if that happened over there, my instinct would have been like, what's happening?
And a lot of people would have been running and, so.
Imagine having an exit plan in the grocery store, the department stores, the movie theaters, everywhere. Now, we are very aware that there are different dangers really in every country. But in Spain...
That's what you said.
Almost like I knew what was coming. That's weird.
Gun violence is one less thing that we have to worry about. Now, before we continue with the 7 reasons, we need to give you some context on one of the main things that drove us to make this move. In the United States, we work like crazy. I was working probably 60, 70 hours per week. And for a long time, it really wasn't an issue. I mean, I just saw it as me kind of outworking everyone. But at the end of 2020, I started experiencing these dizzy spells and I had a rapid heart rate. And then over the next 2 years or so, it happened several times. But, I just thought, no problem. I'll just tough through it and make it work. And then in the beginning of 2023, these incidents started to happen more frequently. So my doctor made me wear this little heart monitor thing for 30 days. So they can kind of see what was going on. And during those 30 days, I had a pretty serious scare. I remember I was working out and then my heart started racing. And
that's me, actually. But
I just remember not feeling well and just kind of wanting to lay down. But I figured, I better not do that because I don't know if I'm going to get back up. So luckily that heart monitor notified the doctor and they immediately called me and, kind of scheduled me to get in to see them. And then they set up a series of procedures that I had to do just so they can see what was going on. Now, fortunately, they didn't really find anything and I haven't had anything happen since. But, this scare really made me realize that I needed to make some huge changes.
Right.
So that leads us to number 4. A big part of creating a healthier life, which after Greg's health scare became even more important, is what we were putting inside our bodies. As you may know, the Spanish diet is comprised of food that make up a typical Mediterranean diet. Things like olive oil, salad, lentils, fish, fresh fruits, vegetables. Now, this
That looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what I'm going to say here, and I believe it's more than just the Mediterranean diet now. It's more about the preservatives and all the way that the U.S. processes the food and what they add to it to make it last long. Preservatives,
right?
Make it last longer. Because I really think it's more than just the. I mean, it's a joke that here in Europe it's about the olive oil and stuff.
Right.
But I think it's more than just the food. It's how you guys in Europe make it and process it.
alone is reason to choose Spain. But what was even more important to us was the European food restrictions. Now, I've done some research on this, but I won't bore you with all the statistics. But the reality is Europe has stricter guidelines with what is allowed on or in their food, which for us means a lot. It means we're not inadvertently putting so many poisons into our body. It means we can feel better about the quality of everything we're eating. I mean, high fructose corn syrup, red dye 40, blue
Everything.
wine, they're not readily found here. Cereals have one flavor, chocolate.
Yeah.
Cereals with artificial colors are hard to find here. Your cereal aisle in Spain is like this big.
Right.
Compared to the US where there's like long rows of endless colorful cereals. So in some cases, variety is not always the best thing.
Yeah.
And titanium dioxide, look that one up.
Yeah. Or, I don't know if you should or not, but
Yeah, it's in
number
all the
5,
food.
and this is one of our favorite things about Spain. When you walk through some of the streets of Spain, or in some of these small pueblos, or if you find the local spots in some of the bigger cities, what you'll notice is people gathered together, just enjoying each other's company. And in that moment, the only thing that matters is being together. You see people eating and talking and laughing. And one of the great things is that
this is
you
a
will
real
rarely see
video.
them on their
I did
phones
it.
or laptops. They are just in the moment. Now, a few times here recently, Lisa and I went to a coffee shop and we realized that we were the only ones on our phones. So, yeah, I know. But don't worry, we're working on that.
Yeah.
The Spanish people really have created a
We are working on
culture
it.
where community matters, where everyone is included. Children, parents, young, old, friends, family, everyone. You'll see it at bars, restaurants, cafes, in the parks. There is a common saying in Spain that you work to live, don't live to work. Now, when we have gotten together with some of our friends here recently, not once do they ask what we do for a living. It's never about that. It's about your family. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? The Spanish sense of community is on a different level.
That's interesting, and that is still true.
Yeah.
I haven't
100%.
really had people ask me. I think I've said this in one of our other videos.
Yeah,
the only person
me
to
too.
ask me was my Spanish tutor because she was trying to teach me how to say those things.
Yeah.
But-
and I've never been asked,
Yeah.
not once.
Yeah. But it was just super interesting because it's like they don't really, that's not important, which changes your whole mindset because in America, it's so important that it can become your identity.
Yeah. It's not part of your identity here.
Right. Right.
There's just so much more to life
Right.
than just your job.
Right.
Yeah. Number 6. Okay, so when you get a visa in Spain, it allows you to pay into their system and have access to their healthcare. Now, before we left the U.S., Greg had a procedure for his heart, as he mentioned earlier. He had
When I say pay into their system, we pay taxes.
Right.
So, yeah, that's
Right.
what I mean by pay into
A
the
lot.
system. Yeah, we pay a lot. But, it's worth it. You
It's
get
worth it,
stuff. Yeah.
3 of them. We didn't know beforehand, but one in particular cost us a lot of money.
Right.
But because we had health insurance through Greg's work, which we paid $1,000 a month for, we weren't expecting a large bill. Or
Let me just reiterate what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
You had 3 heart procedures.
Right.
It was not procedures. It was more like
They were checking
checking.
to see if I had any type of clog.
Yeah. So, some of you know that they put like dye in your veins and to check.
Angioplasty, all this
Yeah.
stuff,
And they checked something in his neck and they did like 3 things. And then what I was saying is that we had insurance and we literally paid $1,000 for the both of us.
The
I'm
two
not
of us.
exaggerating. A month.
Yep.
Okay,
Maybe
so
a little
now,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
even a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or didn't even think we were going to get a bill at all.
Right.
I mean, we thought it was a necessary test that would have prevented major costs to the insurance company, like later on. So we figured it would be covered, right? Well, we thought wrong. A few months after the procedure, we received a bill for $22,000. So
Yeah, that's right. You heard that right. And then here's the interesting thing. I'm sorry, this always just makes me so angry.
Yeah.
But when I talked to the doctor, he was like, you have two choices.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this procedure that, is probably about 30% sure that you'll find out if you have any blockage. Or you can do this procedure where it's like 90, 95%. You're definitely going to find out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And which one would you pick?
And before he tells you that,
Yeah.
he's scaring the heck out of you.
Yeah.
He's showing you these charts of all the damage that potentially is happening in the lower part of Greg's heart and
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, obviously I'm going to take the one that's 90, 95%. So that's the one that I did. That was a little, had to be sedated and do all these different things. So that's the one that I picked. And I don't know.
And I don't know if it's his job to tell us he didn't, to know what our health insurance would have covered, but
no, probably not.
Yeah.
And there's some people out there who might say, you should have looked before you went. Well, I mean, maybe, but all I know is there's this one where it's 30% and this one's 90%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna do the one that's 90%. And I'm like Lisa said, we're paying $1,000 a month. So I mean, that has to be good for something, right? I guess maybe instead of $80,000 bill, we got a $22,000 bill because we're paying $1,000 a month. Oh God.
that was super disappointing and made us want to just get out of there even more. But I think the scariest and saddest part of that whole story is, had we known the test would have cost $22,000, would we have opted to get it? Probably not. And then we wouldn't have truly known if there was anything wrong with him, and we would have just had to hope for the best.
Right.
But in Spain, we have access to that, to the affordable healthcare and the healthcare system. We don't have to worry about the cost of tests or treatment or procedures. We know their system is not perfect, but for what we need, it works.
Right.
If we don't feel well, we'll be able to take care of ourselves. And at this point, I think that's what matters.
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah, we don't pay for, the doctor just does the procedure that is necessary.
Right.
It's not a question of, is this the best one depending on the insurance? He does the best one.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
So, all right, number 7. Now, we know that every country has a political history, and it's not always pretty, but
I forgot that this is number 7.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, dang. I'm going to have something to say about this one, I can tell you.
in the U.S., it was in your face all the time. When there was a shooting, that was political. Solving homelessness, that was political. Improving healthcare, that was political. Over the past few years, politics really has become something that identifies people. And it has divided the country even more than it already was. And quite frankly, we were just tired of the in-your-face politics. We know politics exists here, but we don't see it on the same level as we did in the United States. You can experience people just for who they are, not the political party they identify with. It's pretty refreshing, actually, to not constantly have politics in your face. So those are the 7.
I mean, that's interesting because I don't know why I always start every thing I'm about to say with that's interesting. But it is interesting. But I know there's politics in a lot of different places, everywhere around the world.
Oh, yeah.
But in America, it's just really changed over the last maybe 8 years. 8 to 10 years.
Ever since Obama.
Yeah. So that's when it just kind of changed. And friends, family started to split up. There's just differences of opinion on a lot of things. So it's just really a mess. So we, it's pretty tough. And we have people in our own family that have, a different political view than we do. So I don't know.
It's in your face because it's like everybody puts up lawn signs. I mean, you have the lawn sign up all year.
Yeah.
There's like Trump flags flying everywhere.
Yeah, on trucks, on
yeah, and it's mostly that. It's mostly
right.
the Trumpsters that are doing that because you don't see Biden flags, Obama flag. You just don't see that, and so it just really makes it where that's who you are, and you're immediately judged.
Right. And there's not a lot of respect for people. Kind of how it used to be, and now it becomes okay. And if you're trying to have respect for somebody, you're considered to be woke or I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I say just so you know, I say that it all kind of started with Obama because we feel Obama was really good for the country, but there was a lot of people who didn't.
Right.
And those that didn't started the Tea Party and started all kinds of other things that really just divided the country.
And we don't really want to turn this into a political video.
That's true.
But because we know there's some people watching this who like watching us because we don't talk about a lot of politics.
That's true.
So we can appreciate and respect that. We're just reacting to the video.
Yeah.
So,
I know. They're talking about.
We can't control what they say.
They're talking about politics.
Yeah, they're talking about politics. So, all right. But anyway, we're glad we're here. There's one thing we don't have to worry about as much.
Yeah.
Reasons that we chose Spain. Now, you can't make a move like this without challenges.
Yeah, and one of those is leaving family. That is the hardest thing to do.
This still is a hard thing to do.
This is a hard thing to deal with.
So it's interesting because when we were in the United States, it's not like we lived right close to family.
That's true.
So it still was a trip to get there.
Mm-hmm. But it was
something with the different
4-hour
time zones and being able to talk to them as frequently and everything. So I mean, it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
All of our family live in the United States. It was something we really had to think about, especially because both of our moms were getting older. So we worry about the next several years. I think in those cases, we just needed to create a game plan to visit often. We choose to go back every year. We know it's going to be time consuming. It's going to cost a lot of money, but we know it's going to be worth it in the end.
Right. Now, we also left all that was familiar to us. And you don't really realize how important those things are until you're put in a situation where you don't have them. The language, the customs, the convenience of everything. I mean, these challenges are real.
Yeah, they are very real. And, I tell Lisa sometimes that you'd almost feel like culturalists a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
That's true.
Like around Christmas time, the practices out here for Christmas are different than over there. So on the day that is super important, over there, here it's just another day or, different things like that. And then we don't know what those, we don't know the holidays. We don't know when they're coming, all these things. So, but we're not complaining. I would do it 10 out of 10 times because we really do enjoy it here. And it's something that we're learning, but it's just a real thing.
It is a real thing. I mean, because we're not fluent yet, it's taking us a little longer. It feels like, I don't know if it's our old brains or what.
Probably.
There's like our boys pick it up faster and their friends pick it up so much faster.
Yeah.
And,
anybody else out there feel like that? We old.
And we're trying. But it's that because we, you just can't really like talk to everybody like really, really well.
Yeah.
We're getting by for sure, but it makes an impact.
Yeah.
And there are more challenges that we probably haven't even realized and haven't come up yet. But, we decided that this was such a beautiful country and, it was so important to us to experience living here that it was worth taking the challenge. If you haven't yet.
Okay. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you think? Like looking back on it, does it make you think anything differently?
No, those are all still valid. Yeah.
Those are all
that
still
is
there.
why we left.
Yeah. And, being here, having this channel and having all of you just share with us the history and the traditions and customs and everything of all these different places in Europe, it just solidifies that, that we made the right decision.
Yeah. And we're always saying, man, I wish we would have came here in our 20s.
Right. Yeah.
Or even 30s or something.
That's true.
It does feel like we were missing out on so much.
Yeah.
Just living it over there.
And there's a lot of people in America who we just go through our day. Like, we don't realize that we don't know these things that you've all been helping us with, which we appreciate. But anyway.
Yeah. And one of the things she asked, what do we miss about the United States? And that one was like a tough one. The obvious, quickest answer is our family.
Yeah, I would say that. And I would say the convenience of everything. I would say being comfortable and talking with people, like, like I even have my phone, I switched to all Spanish. It's like, I can't even figure out how to turn off the cellular, without thinking real hard, or just going to talk to people if I need to do something with the electric bill, things like that.
Yeah. That will come in time. We know it will.
Yeah.
But immediately that's what we're missing is just that ability to just speak. Right.
Is there anything else that you could think? That's the biggest thing. For me, it's just the convenience of not having to think about existing. So it's a little different. But
otherwise, no.
I don't miss it. No, I don't miss it. Like, I honestly feel like if I went there, I'd be thinking, I can't wait to get home. Yeah.
Now this is like home. We call it the United States. Right. When we talk about the United States. Right. We don't say, when we go home, like, we don't do that.
Yeah. And it's tough because there's a lot of people that won't like to hear that. But I don't know. That's how we feel. What else she asked?
Just how our life has changed.
Yeah.
Like, about the move, how we felt about the move.
Yeah. That's it. So I don't know. This was interesting, an interesting video. We probably we'll never do one like this again. But we figured we would just do it, and hopefully you stuck around to the end just so we could share this information with you. But if you like what we're doing here, we're on our way to 5,000 subscribers, if you can believe that. So, but it is so awesome. We love having the conversations and learning from people, and people being so nice and say, "Hey, you can come stay at my house." Yeah. It's like, this is unbelievable. Like, we just started this channel because we like talking to each other. Yeah. And we like YouTube. So, but we really do appreciate you. And feel free to like, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube stuff. And we're going to see you in the next video. All right.
Peace. Bye.